Hello, and welcome to another weekly news recap. Still waiting for some people to file in. It's been a couple of weeks since I did this because, of course, last week I was traveling, did things from my hotel room, and it was certainly not the ideal setup to do this weekly news recap. But we are back with it, so I'm going to be catching up on stories from a little bit more than a week. Um, a little bit more than a week out. Um, One second. And there's a lot. There's a lot to cover. There's definitely a lot to cover. Um, so here we go. Just sending this out. Just looking for a few more stories to add to my list here as we get going, as I let people get in here. But it's good to see you all. Garnachos, Mercs, when do you expect Cunha and Delap? Here we go. After the Europa final for everything. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but definitely everything after the European final. There's no doubt about that. It's gonna take a little bit of time. We have to be prepared for that. We have to be prepared for that as well. All right, I think I'm about ready here. Ali, good to see you. Fuzzy, my friend, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah. So there's a lot. There's some goal. I want to start with some goalkeeper stuff. Um, there's uh, there's some goalkeeper stuff from today, but then there's goalkeeper stuff from a while ago, and I kind of want to talk through it because I've shared a lot on the goalkeeper side of things over the year through the season, and I think most all of it has been as per usual confirmed. Just giving myself a pat on the back there. Has almost all been confirmed by this point in time. I just realized that my monitor is a little close. So let's start there. Yeah, the first one to say about the goalkeeper, exactly. Let's start there. But people keep saying it's not a priority. I understand that, but then you read it and you're like, wait, kind of sounds like it is a priority, but it's not. But it is. But it's not. But it is. So we'll talk about it. But let's start. Let's get going. The first story that I want to go back to is from about 9 days ago, and this is from Fabrizio Romano. He was adding this is exclusive. Manchester United have added Vanya Milinkovic-Savic to the shortlist for new goalkeeper. Initial contacts took place for Torino goalkeeper among candidates for next season, waiting on price tag and more. Now, Vanya, he's obviously actually a former Manchester United academy player, who essentially could not. Um, what happened? He ended up leaving because of he couldn't get what do you call it, a work permit or something way back when. But anyway, he's an older keeper. I think we've looked at him on a video before to talk about what kind of keeper that he is. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find him here. And essentially, if we look at his chart here, top shot stopper. He's absolutely massive. Think like Donnarumma, Courtois, big ass keeper, huge in terms of shot stopping, saving chances, comes off his lines, gets the ball in the air, does all of those things. He's not a huge play out the back guy. I don't think Lamens will be on here, my friend. Hamza, good. Hey, Naveen. Hey, Arjun. Good to see you guys. But yeah, this is one that makes sense. And the thing I'm going to say here that I've said for a long time, I want to make this really really clear on the goalkeeper front, okay? Um, because it's understandably why we're being linked to certain names that we are. As I shared, it's not we don't want to spend. We want a keeper, but we don't want to spend any of our budget on it. You understand what I mean? Because essentially the view is that we need to fix the outfield 11, the outfield 10, whatever. The 10 outfield players, we need to fix them with our money. And the vast majority of our budget needs to go to the front line. They'd rather buy two forwards and nothing if that was their only choice. If they had no more money, they'd rather buy two forwards and nothing else. So the point with a keeper is that we don't want to spend our budget on it. What does that mean? That means that we have two choices. One is that we sell Onana, get the offer in that clears him off the books, frees up enough money, um, or or two, the other alternative is that we move by India, which is a serious possibility, and we buy someone in the 20 to 25 million range. That could be a young keeper or an older keeper like Milinkovic Savic here, um, who we can then, um, who we can afford without using the rest of our budget because of our sale of Bayindir, and that will afford it. So it's one or the other. Bayindir or Onana goes, and that is going to unlock us being able to do it. We don't want to spend our money on the keeper. We don't want to spend more than what we have. Like we're not willing to commit a bunch to it. And I think that's correct, even though the keeper's been an issue, um, which it has, no doubt. Um, it's I've said before, a keeper is not that important for Ruben Amorim. Like stylistically, he's one of the few modern managers that doesn't ask an enormous amount of his keeper. He doesn't need him to be like Ederson. He doesn't need a guy like that. And so you don't have to go crazy. You just need a safe hands shot stopper. It's a little bit old fashioned in that respect, but I like it. I mean, you think about Courtois, you think about all of those things. And the issue is he doesn't trust Onana exactly. So you're looking at shot stopping. You're looking at a guy who, they want someone who they can trust. Safe hands at the back. That's always been the way that I've put it, as I've heard it. Safe hands at the back. That's what he's looking for. So Vanya could be one of those guys. And then we did get no, I do think here the thing is, right, like I totally agree with you. It's hard to describe the thinking with it. Has a keeper cost us points? Absolutely. Yes. That's why he wants a keeper. You know what I mean? But um I could see if Lamen shows up here. No, but there it is on Twitter, so I'll pull it up in a second. The Data MB site has him on here, so I'll pull that up in one sec. But they don't want to spend an enormous amount of money. The other two solid name, there's three other solid names that we've heard for this. Just to get into the keeper thing first, I'm going to do it slightly out of sequence since there's a story today. Um, but there's three other names that we've heard. Number one is Milinkovic Savic. The three others are Lamens, um, Garcia, and James Trafford. James Trafford? Am I confusing it? Trafford. Well, yeah, anyway. They're all probably available for around the same price. Every person I've just named is in the 20 to 25 million range. Something affordable that we could get if we move on by India. Okay. So just think through all of that. They're all likely to be in the 20-25 million range. Sean Garcia has a release clause around there. Trafford is rumored to be around 25 million. So they're all in that kind of segment. Here's two of them. Jean Garcia here, more of a sweeper, I would guess, in that respect. 23 years old. Lamens, top. I mean, Lamens looks top at everything based on his measurements, but obviously he's playing in maybe a worse league at Antwerp. But yeah, we need more money. You think that the thing about that, Naveen, like Elanga, Greenwood, Alvaro, those sell-on clauses, we're counting on that money for the other positions already. That's what I mean by we don't want to spend our budget on it. How do we have the money we're going to have already? How are we going to fund the forwards, the midfielder, all of that with them? With them. That's how. Those little things are all adding up towards that very, very likely. The keeper thing we want needs to be like for like. We need to be able to move a keeper on to get one in. That's the truth. That's the reality. That's what we're facing. So Lamens, Garcia, um, uh, Lamens was mentioned by Simon Stone this week. That's one we've been talking about for a while. Joan Garcia and Trafford. So it seems like maybe Vanya and Lamens are at the top of our list right now. Both excellent, excellent shot stoppers, essentially, from a statistical standpoint. So yeah. So that's what we're looking at there on the keeper front. So it's good. I'm happy with that. And here's a story from from Mr. Luckhurst on this that I wanna share. This is from today, so I'm doing this a little bit out of sequence now, but so be it. He says, Manchester United plans for potential new goalkeeper and transfer window revealed. And he says, do not regard it as a priority because we've prioritized 3 or 4 signings being playmaker. That means 10, striker, 9, midfielder. Now it does say 4, but it also says, oh, I'm back. All right. But it also says that. So this is why I find this really, really funny. Okay. That's exits off their line, Smokey. This is why I find this really funny because I keep saying this. It is it's funny wording because this do not regard as a priority as a line. It's a line that's been run by like 5 different journalists, except Ruben Amorim wants a new goalie. So like, isn't it a priority? Like we're really splitting hairs here, on narratives when you start saying that. That's why I say it's not a priority, but it is a priority. It's like, you know, um, I don't think eating lunch is a priority today, but I really want Chinese food and I might order it. So, like, I don't know. What's the point, you know? We'll see. Ruben Amorim wants a new goalie. I've shared that. He doesn't have confidence in Onana. He wants a good goalie, but there are no plans to spend a significant sum on one unless Andre Onana leaves. Onana wants to stay, yada, yada. United are still scouting. So, like I've said, they've been looking at keepers all year amid the likelihood that Altay Bayindir will be sold. So, again, that was the alternative we mentioned. That the point is, we don't want to spend our budget. All right. We don't want to spend our budget. All right. That's the point. We don't want to spend our budget. So we want to move by India and we don't want to spend a significant sum of money. But 20 million is fine. You can see it says we require 29 million in a fee to not make a loss. Blah blah blah. They hope he can turn his form around. Um, but anyway, point being, Amarim wants a new keeper. I'm going to talk about something a little bit later, okay, on this point, because this is one of the huge bugbears up Ruben Amorim's ass, understandably. Um, why don't I talk about it now? While we're here in the middle of this segment, I want to talk about this exact point, okay? This thing on Ruben Amorim wants a new keeper, but they want to keep having Onana. All right, this is info, but I'm going to try to word it in a way that is acceptable a little bit. Ruben Amorim is extremely upset with certain members of the squad, a large chunk of the squad, to be fair. He's extremely disappointed in certain aspects, and he's brought these concerns up very recently to people in charge, talking about how one of the big things that he complained about is twofold. He's talked about how he has players he cannot use, that he doesn't like, that he doesn't want to use, that are poor, um, that have no place in his team. Alternatively, he's talked about players where even if he likes them, he has no recourse. He has no way of implementing consequences. He has no way of doing anything with them because either they don't have another option to back them up or to rotate with them or to compete with them or to move into the starter spot and demote them. Um, or like he doesn't have anybody to do that. He doesn't have anyone to do that, or the option on the other side is way worse than what he's got. And so when you look at that keeper thing where it says, does he hate Onana? No. Does he trust Onana? No. Would he like to have someone to compete with Onana? Yes, 100%. Absolutely. He would he's practically demanded that he has somebody who he can reliably compete with Onana so that he can have somebody in there. He doesn't have to sell Onana. He likes him as a person, he likes his attitude, things like that, right? But he wants somebody who he can what he's very upset about is that he has no recourse for Onana making mistakes. He has no way. I'm using Onana as an example here because it fits the scenarios that I'm talking about. He has nobody to say, well, Onana's not doing it and I can't do anything about it because Bayindir is when he's used him has been even worse, you know? Um, and so, that's been a real challenge. That's been a real problem. This is something very recently that he's brought up to ownership. No way to punish players subtly, right? Well, the thing is right. He's the type of manager where in order to manage people and to get the most out of them, he's trying to figure out how can I do something with them. Like there are players where he feels they're underperforming, but he could probably get them performing if he had options. Like let's take Casemiro for example. When he came in, he said, "Casemiro, you're on the bench. I can't use you. You're not good enough. You don't fit what I want to do." And played other players until Casemiro got it. And credit to Casemiro here, but credit to Ruben Amorim because he got it at some point there, right? And he said, "We found a way to work." Casemiro adjusted, Casemiro adapted. He found a way to do it. Well, what if he couldn't have benched Casemiro? What if he couldn't have had any kind of way of saying, "Look, you got to play this way." You have to have that as part of managing players. You have to have that the way he's been able to move Lenny around because we've had different options at center back, had him on the bench for a while, right? Then started getting him further and further in as a starter. He didn't have if he had that option at center back. Same with Maguire, same with guys who have started to kick on. He doesn't for many positions. He doesn't have players for many positions to do that. So even if he's okay with some of them, he can't fix them because of this. And that's where the keeper falls in. He can't fix Onana even if he wanted to, right? He can't discipline him, right? Even if he wanted to. He kind of did in between Lyon, right? But then by India put in essentially as a stinker in between Lyon leg 1 and 2. So it gives him nothing to work with still, you know? Um, and so it kind of did, except it's fake because everybody knows we can't play by Indir. That by is not going to be the first guy. That Onana is better than him, regardless, and there's nothing we can really do about it. So that's the point there. And so he wants to solve that problem and has demanded they solve it. So he wants a new keeper. They have to get him a new keeper. What about the Barada quote of 2 years? And that is totally true as well. There's a number of players who've who are in that boat of useless. It's been 2 years, they've been at the club, and they haven't done anything, and we'll see you later. Um, and that they will look to move on this summer. There's a lot of overlap between that and him in general. But Amram needs to take stock for himself. Yeah, but not really at the same time. I mean, of course, but again, it depends on what your goals. The point is this. Here's his perspective, and you can agree with it or not. If you want me to do better with this team, I'm not your guy. If you're going to get me a different team, I am your guy. And that's kind of the walk away talk he was giving on Sunday. That was kind of his point. Because if you're asking him to get more out of this squad, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't think he can, and he doesn't think he's the right man for that job. That's the truth. If you're saying, well, that's what the standard you're being measured on is, this is the squad, fix them. He doesn't think he can. He's honest about that. He doesn't think he can. Um, he thinks it needs a hell of a lot of turnover. So if that is the way that he's going to be judged by you, by fans, by the people in charge, then he's not the right guy. But if he's going to be given that ability to turn it over and shape it properly, then he is the right guy. So he had discussions. He had discussions with them about all of this very recently and had a little bit of a different perspective. That's why he wants Champions League so bad, so that he can reshape the squad in his image. Well, not just his image, to be fair, but essentially, again, when he came in, one of his big things was being judged on was judge the players. He's done that, and it's fucking bad. It's fucking bad. Um, and that's his assessment of it. And so he has to be backed in that respect. Um, that's his assessment, and they need to deliver on that now. They need to deliver on that now. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. All right. So anyway, just keep that theory in mind, because that is his view, and he's very, very explicitly unhappy about that. All right, let's get to more. Let's get to more news. Let's get to more. Let's get to more stories. No way to. Well, yes, no way to rest players like Ugarte with a suitable substitution. He sees Ugarte getting tired, looks at his bench, and all he sees is Ericsson. Absolutely, absolutely. Sorry. He talked about a new center back sign. Yes, he did. And the point is on injury. If there's a long-term injury to Heaven or to Euro or to Delict, then we'll need somebody. That's what he was thinking about. But without that, we're probably not making a major signing at center back this summer. But it depends on it. That's why another reason why we need to go for Ederson. Correct. That's why we want a midfielder so bad because you know, yeah, you need to have a way to help players do better. Even the ones you like, you need to have a way to help them, support them, improve them, have consequences. Even players you want, even players you like, even players you look at, you've got to be able to have the players to to help them, to support them and to fix them. Before we get into this really, really fast, I'm going to mention this again. We've got a new game this week. These are actually created by the guys here at Big Up. It's a new fun like fantasy game for the Chelsea game. The reward is going to be an Ahmad kit this week. Okay, it's going to be an Ahmad kit this week. I'm going to put the link in the Big Up chat, and I'm going to put it below on YouTube. But you can come join this. Um, you basically pick 5 players, 3 from one team, 2 from the other for the game. You earn points like fantasy, and then all the rules are in here. You pick your 5. The winner will get an Ahmad kit. The winner will get an Ahmad kit this week. So it's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good prize. We're gonna do this weekly, and then next year we're gonna do it weekly. We're gonna do it have a monthly game, something to just keep things going. And yeah, you do pay $5 to get in. That's why there's an actual prize for it, and we're gonna do it all the time. Do we send these kits worldwide? Yes. So if you're in an area I can't ship to, that's totally fine. Generally speaking, what we can do in lieu of that is price out what it would cost for you to buy the kit, and then I'll PayPal you the money. Okay. So one way or another, wherever you are, as long as you can receive shipments from the United store, um, then you can get this. Then the prize will work. How do you win? You don't understand? Um, like so it's fantasy. So basically you pick your 5 players. So like look, and there's a salary cap, right? So like players cost different amounts. You have 50,000, so Cole Palmer's 15, Enzo's 13, Bruno's 13.8. So they're all valued based on that. Um, so it's fantasy. So each player earns points, right? So forwards and midfielders are worth 5 points. Goals, a defender goes worth 6. A goalkeeper goes worth 8. That's never going to happen. Starting's worth a point. 60 minutes is worth 2. An assist is 3. A clean sheet is worth 4 for defenders and goalkeepers. 1 for a midfielder. A save is worth a point for a goalkeeper. So it's got its own unique kind of set of rules here. And then the man of the match is getting 3. So you pick basically who you think is going to earn the most points in your whole 5 teams, and it all gets added up, and whoever wins wins on that. And so it's a really fun game. I'm going to enter my team after this, and again, there will be an Ahmad kit as a reward for it. So yeah, come join, have fun. The link is here in the chat here on Big Up, but it's also will be below. It'll also be below on YouTube. So come join, and it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with this last week. It was the first time we did it, and someone got a Maguire Dino kit. Our good friend Jim here, who hangs out with us a lot, and he's getting the kit. He's going to Bilbao, and he's going to hopefully get it signed and such as well. So it'll be awesome. So yeah. Anyway, let's get on to more news. So this came out a little bit ago. This whole Saudi. So I just have one story here. Um, um, 1 second. Hold on. I'm sorry. Just my wife was calling. I'm trying to make sure it's not an emergency. Give me 2 seconds to interrupt this. So sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, I see some new stories. We'll get to those at the end, okay? As we get up to the present, as we get up to the present, we will get to those. We will get to those. I want to talk about Mastan Tuonu. I want to talk about Mastan Tuonu. I get it. I know. I know. I know. They're doing the same thing they're always doing, okay? We'll talk about him in a minute. Um, and we'll talk about Melissa Reddy's point here. So anyway, there was this whole whole mess about Saudi coming in for Bruno, tempting with a massive offer, yada yada, this, that, and the other. United aren't selling him. He's not going anywhere. He doesn't want to leave. We literally do not even have to think about this story because there's absolutely nothing in it at this point in time. The next thing was Harry Amos um, planning a new deal. Talks with Harry Amos after the end of the season. The club are very happy with the talented fullback's progress and discussions due to start in the next month. Is there any option to get the winning money from fantasy pick not via Mercury? I'm trying to fill my Revolt account, but it's not working. I'm not sure. You probably have to email them about that or message them, but I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, they're planning new deal talks for Harry Amos at the end of the season. They're happy. So Amos new deal. Now, I still think it's very, very likely that he might get a new deal and go on loan. Okay, so just bear that in mind as well. He could get a new deal. He could go on loan. That is a sincere possibility as well. But obviously, they want to see his development more and more. I think he needs a year on loan in order to fully develop into the player that he should be at the end of the day. Um, 2 secs. All right, and then the next story. What is the next story? Um, then the next story is this from Santi J. Now we talked about this in a video last week, and it was like obviously we were all like, hey, probably we don't want to sign Moise Kean. So I don't want to delve into it too deep in speaking about Moise Kean. He listed out Santi like 4 people that we were interested in, which was like Jokerish, Osimhen, Delap, and one other, and then he named Moise Kean. Keane's not good enough. We've seen him for a long time. He's having a good season right now, but I would be shocked if we ended up going for him. He's just not good enough, and we've seen him in the Premier League. He didn't cut it. He flopped pretty hard. He's flopped pretty hard at a few places. He's just not good enough. We just don't need him. So it is what it is. I can understand if they're looking at him, but it is what it is. Arsenal are in that. That Jokerish, essentially, they're in for him, but he's also likely to prefer them. Essentially, I would say he pushed us. We're not gonna get Jokerish. Essentially, there was some story based in here that we're very unlikely to get Jokerish, and he's probably not our guy. We've kind of known that as well, but they've sort of made it clear through some stories this week that it's probably gonna be Arsenal that he's prioritizing, and that they're prioritizing him. So it is what it is there. The other factor is it was very much like very certainly stated by a few people that he was prioritizing Champions League. And look, Ruben Amorim made it extremely clear himself that we weren't going to sign players who were themselves prioritizing Champions League. Okay, so I think it's extremely unlikely that we get him, and essentially some of this and some other stories similar to this one kind of confirmed we're probably not going to get Victor Jokerish. Now, if we get Champions League and everybody changes their mind suddenly, well, we'll see, I guess. But right now it seems like a no. It's a no from me. Okay, it seems unlikely that is what we're gonna get. Then there was Rashford, and Barcelona. The English winger of Barcelona target is after being believes that going with the veteran age. So something about Pini Zahavi and being offered to Barcelona and having an attempt at going to Barcelona, all of that, and yeah, I mean, essentially, there's a few decent things here. Is saying that he's looking to get help to move to Barcelona. We know that as well. That He's always been prioritizing a Barcelona transfer. I've spoken for that for a while. He really wants to go there. It says he would be willing to lower his salary in order to help Barcelona. Um, it says that talks with the Barcelona have already begun. Um, Barcelona are being quiet. This was, I think, just before their Champions League game, so they were obviously not speaking. They also want to finish up their league campaign, but yeah, there's a big chance that he ends up at Barcelona from his side and from their side. There's a big chance. Then there's this story. We spoke about this a little bit last week. United and Chelsea have been looking at promising Barcelona teenager Juan Hernandez Torres, believed to have a 5 million release clause, attacking mid 18 in July. So again, more in the targeting this 18 to 20 range. These young guys who are kind of on the cusp of a first team. From Barcelona Academy. I mean, we don't know a ton about him, but for 5 million, for a player coming out of the Barcelona academy, probably worth a punt. It's an interesting one. Another young 10, essentially. So starting to get a lot of talk of loading up on talent in those kinds of areas. I don't have much by way of stats to share you at this guy. I doubt anybody really knows about him that much as well. Um, then there's this, which says the summer plans of a number of clubs, including Manchester United, hang on that. Targets, waiting to see who qualifies before making the decision. It says we're understood to want the likes of Delap, Cunha, and one of Semenyo or Mbumo for their forward line. So point to understand here is that Delap, Cunha, and a third forward. Now that doesn't leave that much space for all the forwards that we have. It says Semenyo is ahead of Mbumo on the list. I'm not sure I quite buy that given the price. It's a little bit waffly because it kind of just says they'd be more attractive if they got Champions League over us, but it doesn't really say that. Then it says Cunha's given positive indications he's open to joining United. So it's not much in this except, this is true. Delap, Cunha, and a third forward. Semenyo and Mbumo, one thing I will say about them is I think they could play wing back. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I think they're tens. Mbumo's covered like the second most ground in the Premier League or something this season. Yeah, you remember that, Ryan. Yep. I said they probably want 3 forwards even, and, to move on some others, but I really like Mbumo. We'll talk about Mastantuono here. There's a story today that Madrid have made contact with Mastantuono again, that they're talking to him, that they're working with him, all of that. Here's the thing about them and Mastantuono, okay? They don't want to spend any money. They're doing the thing that they've been doing recently where they're trying to convince players to run their contract down. So essentially, they're trying to get him to run it down until next season, stay, then they can get him for free later. They don't want to pay the 40 million, 45 million for him. So they keep doing this with tons of players. We'll see if it works. They like him. They walked away from talks last year. They don't want to pay the money. That's really all it comes down to. They don't want to pay the money on him. They just spend, I understand, but that's 40 million for a Spanish international. They do this with a lot of these players though. They're really trying to minimize their transfer spend and spend and get players to run their deals down. And this is another instance where they're probably doing that. Semenyo seems like an option for right wing back, and Ahmad plays right 10. Well, I think it gives you options in both positions. I think it gives you options in both positions that way. I think Mbumo could do it too, to be quite honest. He's got such a good work rate, but yeah. I think I spoke about that after the Brentford game, that I thought Mbumo could do it as well. Then there's this. Alfredo Pedula says new contact between Atalanta and Manchester United over Ederson, but the 50 million proposal made last summer will need to be improved. I don't know about a 50 million proposal last summer. Yeah, Semenyo would be silly money, and I don't think we'd want to do that at that price. That's why I think it's unlikely. Yeah. Anyway, regardless, Ederson continues to be a target. Is the basics I would take away from that. Then I wanted to share this. This is from me. This was not like a huge topic, but people were kind of waffling about it, and I was trying to make this really, really clear myself, which is that essentially what I was trying to make clear is shut down any even speculation over it because people are starting to yap. Well, if he loses the final, could he get sacked? Maybe, maybe, maybe. No, no. Um, United's hierarchy have zero intention of trying to replace the manager. They're not considering it. They're happy with him. They want to keep him. They're building the squad for him for summer to get the most out of him. Ornstein confirmed this as well. There's nothing to speak about when it comes to Ruben Amorim's future this summer. He's here to stay. Then um, academy briefing. Adam Lawrence, the under 18s coach, is leaving. So a little bit of a surprise to a lot of people. Don't know who will replace him. A good coach and all of that. Turkey's off the table. Is a third forward possible? And what would we have to do? Sell, 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 sell. We need funds. We need more money. We can afford a couple. We can afford Cunha and Delap. We need more money to afford others. Then there was this. A couple stories on Liam Delap. United believed to be in pole position to sign him. Now it says this. Okay, this is what's really obnoxious. It literally says this. His final decision could be swayed by whether we win Europa. And I've said before, Liam Delap is in absolutely no place as a relegated striker with one season in the Premier League with 12 goals to be demanding or even considering Champions League. However, when you watch the video, which I can't, but someone did send it to me, um, Kave says the exact opposite. He says he puts this purely as an opinion, but says he would be willing to join anyway. So it seems, regardless, the salient points of this is that we believe that Delap is the front runner. That's the truth of it. Okay. Um, they believe will be the front runner. And then it says that Cunha loves United and all of that. Never miss a show. Would you come to Ireland for a show? I mean, it'd be expensive for me to travel to Ireland, and I'm not sure I would put something together to charge people a bunch of money. I mean, I know there's a lot of people, but I don't think I've reached that status. Someday, I'll come over to the UK though, and then have some kind of get together when I'm come over for a game or something like that. Activate our option. Yeah, the Alvaro thing is interesting. That Madrid want Alvaro. We've kind of heard that for a little bit. We have the sell on, but he also has a 50 million release clause. We could buy him back and then sell him for like 40 and make more money. It's a possibility. It's viable. You can do that technically, from what I understand. Then there was this, and I want people's thoughts on this. Manchester United keeping an eye on Callum Hudson-Odoi's situation at Nottingham Forest. Talks over a new Forest contract are ongoing. Current deal up next summer. Um, what do you think about him as a player? I would 100% take him. What I would do if you asked me right now, I would sell Garnacho. And people are going to give me a hard time about that. Sell Garnacho, buy Mbumo, and bring in Hudson-Odoi for cheap. That's like a no-brainer move to me to improve the squad. He can cover wing back and in the 10, so that gives you a bit more depth. He's a good player. He's big. He's physical. If you could, if it allowed you to also get a third forward in by making a sale and getting him as a cheap player, then I would take him personally. That's my view on it. Now I'll get a bunch of grief for saying sell Garnacho again, even though I've said it a million times and explain my reasoning. Because he has one season left, Ryan. That's why. He's got one season left. That's why he might be cheap. Then there was this from Kinsella, and it says the salient point here. It talks about Delap, right? But it doesn't really say much about him. But what it did say, why did I bring this up? Expressed interest in Alejandro Garnacho. Chelsea insists the decision on Sansa will come at the end of season summit, with the club obligated to buy him between 20 and 25 million, but a 5 million penalty clause. Don't know. We'll see. So they're interested in Garnacho, and they will decide firmly on Jadon Sancho later. That's the story. That's all that was in there. But yeah, wanted to bring it up. Then there was a little thing on, what was this? I don't know why I linked this one exactly or not. This is about Maxi Oyedele. Says he's got a 6-8 million release clause. He could move. I think we have a 40 or 50% sell on clause. So there's another potential 4 million, 3-4 million there for us in terms of funds. Then I wanted to share this really quick. Ruben Amorim has warned his United players that their places in the Europa League final will be at risk if he does not get their complete commitment against Chelsea. So this was about this is when I was mentioning this point on, we're going to probably play a strong team, that we're going to play a very, very strong team. And one of the things that about this in particular, though, is what we were talking about earlier about Ruben Amorim being quite upset about something. He was very upset about things. And this was this point I was talking about the players, about some of their commitment, some of their attitude, some of their application, and that he doesn't have the opportunity to punish people. And so he's continuing to try to like lay down the law here, but he was really upset about this after Sunday. He's going to play a strong team on Chelsea, and he wants them to turn the fuck up and play. Um, he does not feel that it would be right to lead into the Europa final limping in on crappy performances of players who are not trying. He does not like that at all. But he also thinks it would help us with our chances in the Europa final to do so, and that we do need the money to transform the club. That's one of the comments he made today or yesterday in the pressers. That was a little different than his perspective before, following that whole discussion I had in the beginning of this video, which is he's he he wants the money now to rebuild the squad, because he's quite upset about certain aspects. Then I want to read through this. This is from Melissa Reddy. Ruben Amorim wants and needs in the market center around a few core elements: a technical and versatile profile, comfort and dominating possession, dynamism and ball progression, high durability and conditioning, proven strength of character to adapt and thrive in tough conditions. United don't want expensive mistakes, but are cautious of signing players with potential rather than difference makers. Selling well remains key. Beyond the nips and tucks of the first team, Wilcox will increase their talent pool in the 18 to 20 age group. They're investing in beefing up data analytics headed by Michael Sansoni. It says Ruben Amorim hasn't wanted to shy away from just how important the summer window will be. He told me it's crucial. Yada, yada. We need to do everything as possible to be prepared for the preseason. We need to show something. It's not a debate. Recruitment can change the way we go forward and be crucial. So when I say about recruitment, it's not just big names and spending money. It's the player 17. That's another top club. He's finished his contract. We can use the United brand to bring him, etc., etc. He used Aiden as an example here. I think those quotes are from a little while before. So he's made really clear in recent time his view on recruitment, that in the last few days he's had a big thing about it, about needing recruitment to work, about needing to overhaul and turn over the squad. He needs it. He wants it. He's very upset about it, and is extremely disappointed with a lot of things, and certainly wants it to change in there. So yeah, he's quite upset. Now, I've got one more story to show here, which just came up, and I was actually going to ask about this the other day. Would you guys take Leroy Sane on a cheap deal as an attacking option? Would you take him? Because he's out of contract, isn't he? On a free? Sane? Premier League experienced. '29, left-footed. How do you say no, man? How do you say no? This is a Leroy Sane is a player. I don't care if he's ex-City. We have a staff full of ex-City. Omar Barada's ex-City. Jason Wilcox is ex-City. They built the squad that we were competing against. Omar Barada headed up the club that a few miles down the road is kicking our ass every day. Jonathan David on a free better. Oh my god, Jonathan David, man. Jonathan David. Oh my god. Kill me. I'm just saying, it's not like he hasn't done it in the Premier League. You know? 16 goals and assists this season, 19 last season, 15, 14, 15. You know, and he was a 20 GA player in the Premier League at 21 years old. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why would I not? I would take him in an absolute heartbeat. I would 100% take him. I wouldn't even question it. I wouldn't even think about it. This is a player that will bring us 15 to 20 goals and assists per season. Facts. Like, that's what you're going to get out of him. You're going to get 15 to 20 goals and assists from Leroy Sane. He's dynamic. He brings the ball up the pitch. He shoots. He's no, he might join us. We've been linked to him in the past. There was interest there in the past from both sides. It's not like it's completely out of the question. I would absolutely sign him in a heartbeat. The dynamicness that he would give you for free. I don't if it's 250,000 a week, fine, but you realize like you're talking about a guy who um is a proven I just want to explain something to you for a minute when you're talking about wages. This is a two-time Premier League winning, four-time four-time Bundesliga winning player. You understand that, right? Like when you talk about wages, like you do get that though. What kind of player we're talking about here? He's more qualified for high wages than practically any one of our players like that we have presently. You know, like this guy has won an enormous amount. But I don't think we'll get Mass Antonio anyway right now, right? But like this is a player that is probably worth the wages. I mean, he's also a has Germany won anything? I don't remember, to be quite honest. Did they win the World Cup? Nah. So yeah, then he'll start to dip. Yeah, the wages are to players who don't deserve them. Like he's younger than Bruno, who's on the same wages. You do understand that though. Like he's younger than Bruno because he's on the same wages, but he's on the same wages. So like, um, yeah, like I don't. I would like. He's 29. Why are we? Why? What are we saying here? Hold on a second. He turned 29 in January. Are we acting like players are dead at 30 now? Are we doing that thing again? Would he join without Champions League? I don't know. I don't know. I've got no clue. I'm asking opinions. Um, he's a good player. He's a very good player. Doesn't he have a back tattoo of the Etihad? Who cares? You can show the back tattoo of the Etihad while scoring at the Theater of Dreams. I don't give a shit. And look at the per minute contributions. Hey, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Turning down a player of that quality, he'd probably come in, even if we signed Cunha, even if we signed Mbumo, Sane would come in and still be our best forward. You realize that, right? Like that's what people are turning down. Oh, I can't get on board with that. Yeah, I can't get on board with that. Is he injury prone? I don't know. I mean, he's made it 2,000 minutes in the league on average. That's not terrible. Let's see his injuries here. He's had a couple. He had a groin surgery. He only missed 4 games though, because this was in summer. He's missed 4 games this season. What do you mean injury prone? He hasn't been injured since September 4th. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. He hasn't been injured since September 4th of last year. You know, he tore his ACL in 2020, but that was a long time ago. Isn't these are not a lot of missed games when you look at the numbers, right? He had like an issue that kept him from like end of February through like April in and out last year, but he still only missed like 6 games. Check his PL. No, I understand that, but you're talking about he had an ACL tear. Like, um, this is a yeah, I would take him in a heartbeat on a free, 100%. Because you got to balance it out, man. If you had Sane, Cunha, Delap, Bruno, Ahmad, Mount Mainu for your options, that's incredible. You let him go in 2 or 3 years. Who cares? You only need him for 1,500 minutes. You've got other options. I'd take him in an absolute heartbeat because I think it immediately gives you, as someone from Munich, I can tell you Leroy has developed into a real leader and has a great relationship with the likes of Muller. He's super physical, good work rate, and would fit the system well. His best period was under Nagelsmann, where he played as a left 10, basically with Davies as a wingback. He's always available too. I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Sane wouldn't be better than Cunha. He might not be better than Cunha for what we need, but he's a damn good player. And yeah, I know people. I know. Reminds me of all the folks who said, "Would you take Dembele before he went to PSG?" Do you remember in 2020 we were like offered Dembele and people like freaked out like it was an awful, awful idea? I remember that too. And now look, he could win the Ballon d'Or. Hmm, I don't know. 29-year-olds being finished is a new one for me though. That is a new one. The age keeps getting younger for when players are finished. Yeah, Bruno, Cunha, and Sane would be one of the best front threes in the Premier League. Like, come on, guys. Let's. What did we just talk about in this video about Ruben Amorim being upset about not having options, not having players who he can pick, not having players who he can rotate, not having people who can feel confidence. Looking at the bench and seeing Lindelof, looking at the bench and seeing Ericsson, saying, "Oh, Ugarte's being 4. Who am I going to put on? Ericsson. Oh, cool, great." You know, looking at the bench and saying, "Who can I put on for Rasmus Højlund? Oh, nobody. Who could I put on for Garnacho who can run? Nobody, you know? Come on, man. It's free. It's not free, but even 300,000 a week. Let's take 300,000 a week, all right? It's let's take it let's say you give him a 4-year contract. That costs you 60 million over the lifetime of the transfer, right? That's no different than buying a 30 million. Would you buy Leroy Sane for 30 million on 150,000 a week? Would you buy him? I would, in an absolute heartbeat. You'd be joking. You'd be joking not to do that. I mean, comparing some things here, people were excited about Brian and Mbumo. People were excited about Brian and Mbumo, okay? Let me just tell you something. Like Brian and Mbumo will be 26 this next year, right? So 3 years younger, fine. If you think 29 is finished, fair enough. He'll cost 60 million and he'll have 150,000 a week. Okay? So Brian Mbumo is going to cost you. Um, Brian Mbumo is going to cost you 110 million. He's going to cost you 110 million. Okay. And people are like, "Oh my God, Brian Mbumo, let's get him." I would get him still, but Sane is half of that. He's half of that. Come on. It's not like talking about Sterling. Like again, what are you guys talking about? Sterling has been finished for quite a while. Okay, Sterling had gone to Chelsea and produced 9 goals and assists 3 years ago. All right. It's not the same thing. Sterling's career's collapsed. His body was completely broken. He completely fell apart. Casemiro, we paid 60 million for. Varane, we paid 50 million for. They're not the same thing. They're totally different. They're very, very different, you know? They are very, very different. But you're talking about those players cost us double what Leroy Sane would cost us. You know, Ericsson literally died beforehand as a comparison. For we signed him after Ericsson has risen from the grave. And let's not make comparisons here. Even then, it was only 3 years. Like financially, it didn't set us back very much. But let's not compare Ericsson, where we needed to like test his pacemaker before we could approve the signing. You know what I mean? Like let's be real for a minute. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Just an interesting end of thought for this video. Thanks for hanging out in this live. Thanks for watching over on YouTube. If you're doing so, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, and I will see you all in the next video. And for those of you over here on Big Up, thanks for joining. See you later. Have a good one, everybody.